long have you been involved?
In Lions, 34 years.
10? 41. 41, so they know a bit about the Cochrane Lions Rodeo. They have a bunch of photographs that they will show. I think Keith's going to give a brief history.
Just a little lead in, yeah.
And then as the pictures come up, if you have any questions, don't hesitate to interrupt, and Ted will try and answer any questions you might have as we go through the pictures. So thanks a lot for coming, guys, and I'll turn it over to you.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's in the easy chair. You want
Okay.
Well, do you want to sit here?
No, I can stand. Yeah, sure. Okay, so as Gord said, Ted and I have been in Lions a long time. Ted 41 or 42 years, and I've been in 34 years. And Ted's actually the oldest or longest serving Lions Club member at the moment, and I'm the second longest serving.
He's probably the oldest too, isn't he?
He's about the oldest, yeah.
Very close.
I'm really actually a newbie Cochraneite because when I first bought a home here in the new subdivision of Glenbow, after we had made the deal on the house, Bonnie and I had lunch at the Cochrane Cafe, and I was talking to an old timer, and I said, "Oh, I'm looking forward to being a Cochraneite." And he just said, "Well, you've got to live in Cochrane 40 years before you're a Cochraneite." I just made it, so I'm a newbie. Ted, of course, as most of you know, Ted's been in Cochrane, lived in Cochrane all his life, and for many years, of course, his family home is the Westerson cabin, which is next door here. So, okay, a little background on the Cochrane Lions Park, as we called it. The original piece of land was leased from the village of Cochrane to Mr. Sid Hall, who was a local rancher, livestock guy. And in 1964, Clarence McGonigal, and you know that name, he persuaded Sid to give up that lease so the Lions Club could take it on from the village. And so that's what happened, and the Lions Club were able to start building a rodeo grounds. It's interesting to note that Sid's grandson, Alan Hall, who again you know Alan, I'm sure, he later became a Lions member, and eventually he was co-chair of the Lions Rodeo Committee for many years. And a further note, Sid's great-grandson, Andy Hall, is now also very involved in the Lions Rodeo. So it's kind of keeping in the line of Halls there. Okay, the Cochrane Lions Club was first chartered in 1964, when the village was, population was just over 900 people, and the lease was for 50 years at a cost of $1 a year. It's interesting to note that from 900 people we're now just about 30,000. We've still got the same number of members. We started with 35 and we've still got 35. That'd be a different 35, of course. Okay, the first rodeo in Cochrane at the Lions Park was actually in 1965. It wasn't actually a Lions Club rodeo. It was put on by two Lions Club members, Alf Dion and John Powell. And they put the rodeo together, but it wasn't actually a Lions sponsor rodeo. And the first Lions rodeo was in 1966, and it was called Rangeland Frolics. The club president at that time was Bert Powsland, and again you know Bert and Marion Powsland, whose ranch just north of here. The admission for the first rodeo was $1.50 and 50 cents for kids. And when I mentioned kids, it was very much a family event, and in the intermission, lots of kids events, very popular. Things like the rooster races, chasing a chicken, and the greased pig races. Really popular, but things which sadly we wouldn't be allowed to do today. The rodeo infield was originally had a circle on the outside of racetrack, and events there took place, mini chucks, chariot races, and flat races, and the pack mule races as well, which were really popular. And some of the local participants in those pack mule races were Mac McKenzie, Bobby Turner, Dave Scott, and Carl Bunt. The track, the outer track was taken out in 1986 to make room for the much needed ball diamonds. Okay, apart from the regular rodeo events, in 1985 the Lions hosted the first Cochrane Old Timers Rodeo, and it was so popular and successful that year it continued and was later called the Canadian Old Timers Rodeo, and that kept going for many years. I think it stopped about
Still going, no, it's still going better than Canadian Senior Pro.
okay, Canadian Senior Pro. Most of the rodeos there were the FCA rodeos, which is Foothill Cowboy Association. But in addition to that Labor Day rodeo, which we still do, there's other rodeos we put on. There's the new one called the Average Joe Rodeo, as many of the rodeo stock horse futurities, and the Ranch Rodeo, which precedes the Labor Day rodeo, which is very popular. Okay, the Lions Rodeo Park is actually reduced in size over the years because the Lions Club have given up pieces of that land so other community events can take place. The Curling Club, which is actually now reverted back to the Lions Event Centre, we gave up that land so that could be built. The swimming pool, which of course has been and gone. The Boys and Girls Club and the parking lot there, and the horseshoe pits and the ball diamonds. That was all Cochrane Lions Club land, and we've given it up, so we've been good community neighbours. Mentioning the Boys and Girls parking lot, many, many years ago, a rodeo bucking horse sadly suffered a fatality and was discreetly buried under the cover of darkness where the parking lot is now. And I don't think the town of Cochrane ever knew about this. We've obtained a lot of pictures courtesy of the Powsland family. Bert Merrin's daughter Donna put these together for us on a disc. We've got the first rodeo, Lions Rodeo 66 and 67. And if you're interested, if there's time afterwards, we've also got pictures of the 67th Centennial Parade through Cochrane and a couple of other parades. Okay, so I'm going to run through the slides bit by bit. Ted's going to describe them. If you have any questions, sure, holler. Interesting, it's not just the rodeo action you see, but have a look in the background and how the landscape's changed and what's been built there. I think I've covered everything there. I should just mention, as Ted pointed out, originally all the horses from the rodeo were just led and watered down at the creek there. Something would be a little tough to do today. Anyhow, we get some pictures going, and if you've got any questions, please just call out. Okay, Ted, you're going to be on now.
And don't be afraid to ask questions. And I'll try to explain it the best I can, and I'll show you what's what. And I can tell you which way you're looking at the rodeo.
No, I'm not here, I'm not looking at anyone around.
Yeah, move closer so you can see.
I need to play with the
No, your
mouse. Can I sit here, Mark? Absolutely.
This is about when it was built brand new. And if you look over this way, you're looking towards the, back over to the jumping pound, back over to the southwest. And there was no houses, nothing there. And so that you can see, and the creek was right down here. That's where they used to go. And it hasn't changed this much. The rooty ground is still in the same spot. And I can remember when we took all this down here back, well, how many years ago, Keith?
Oh, the wooden stuff?
Yeah, well, we took all the wooden stuff down 20 years ago,
Yeah.
imagine.
Mid-80s, yeah.
And here you are, you're looking right back. This is Glenbow. This is all houses now. But this is a creek. There's some of the trees are still there. And the kids would ride their horses down the creek and water them. And they'd ride in there with their horses, and they didn't matter. They'd just have fun. And back over in here, that's always all prairie. And this landmark, I don't know whether you knew it, but this was your grandfather's land here. That was where Bruce lived.
Yeah, right.
And that, and yeah, we can go on there. There's a house. That's the old
Oh,
King
sorry,
Bruce
Ted.
lived. No, that's okay. And I don't know whether the cowboys, I mean, I probably do, but I don't, you know. And then you look over top here, and that's back over there. That is up in, looking up into the horse, back into the Horse Creek back in there. And that's still, you're still looking west, and there's the Devil's Head, you can see it barely back in there. And there you are, now there's, let's see, we're looking here, this is back in, let's see, remember Binans? You know,
It's still
Binans
there.
back over in Glenbow here. That was back over in here, and then there was, in the farmland. And this was all, this is looking right back over here, right in this area.
Is that
Remember,
Binans?
there's no Highway 22, and this is the old, the Cochrane, like the Cochrane Ranch is just right up over in here. And there's some buildings there, and I'm just trying to think whose they were. I don't know, Gordon, maybe you can remember.
It's not the Bynum place, is it?
Whose?
Bob Bynum's?
Yeah, that's what it, yeah, Bob Bonnet,
Yeah.
yeah. That's what, down
Where
on the,
Cass
it was
lives.
just right down over here.
Yeah.
And that's, and this all was farmland. And right here where we're sitting now was a field of peas for old O.N. Gilbert. And we used to come down here and eat the peas, they were great. And but the pigs, you gotta beat the pigs, so.
Is that one still a creamery, you think?
No,
In
no,
the
that,
background?
no, that's not the creamery, the creamery's over farther. That's Bynum, the old Bynum place.
I know, but behind that,
Oh,
behind
we're
that.
right on the creamery right here.
Yeah.
This is where the creamery was. And then that's the same view, you're looking over to the southwest, that's just back over on the Kovic Place Ranch in the Crawford Place. And it's pretty well the same view. And that, the Saddle Bronc and the riding the Broncs, that haven't changed that much. And remember, this is back in what, 66, I believe.
Yeah.
And there you are, there's a view.
That's a good view. Yeah.
There's the view from up on, you know where our concession is now? And that's the view looking over. And that place over there is the old Crawford place.
What's this?
And that there is an airplane, and that is, there used to be an airport runway over here. That used to be the Henderson brothers, James and John. Now, this could have been Bill Perkins's airplane, and that's Braden's, it was his uncle. Bill used to work for Marshall Baptist, but him and Tim worked for this big German fella. He worked at Marshall's there, and they had this airplane. He used to fly them down the river. They made the airplane, and they crashed. I don't know how many times in the river, but they'd all at home. But that is looking from the hill, and you can see the cars, 65s and what have you. And like I said, there's a creek, just right down there. You wouldn't even know it was the same place. Now, looking at all the houses there. And there you are, looking up just at the hills right up in here.
What's this here, Ted?
That,
It's the trailer park.
that's the trailer park.
Okay.
Yeah. That's the old trailer park. That was, geez, a long time ago too.
So there was a sawmill there at one time too, wasn't
The sawmill, that's right, that was old, Al Scott owned it, and old Bob O'Neill, and the daughter we went to school with, Peggy. Mona O'Neill, I mean. And that's where it was. And there is a trailer court there now. And that is the first houses up there, that used to work at FINA. That's up there. And there's the,
Fifth Avenue.
Yeah.
that's Fifth Avenue, yes, that's right. And there you are, looking back up to the hills, back over here, up on the Cochrane Hill. And so you can see there was, I mean, it was, and we tore all these stands out here, what, about 5 years ago?
Yeah.
About 5 years ago, we tore all those stands out, so they've been there a long time. And this is all brand new wood and everything. Now it's all steel, but
Is that a old stock trailer up there?
that was
Catalina?
that was a Cataliner, yeah.
Yeah, good old truck there.
Yeah, they're very old. And now I'm not sure who these fellas are. I mean, it goes back a long time, and I can't remember either.
It's written on the back of one of your pictures if you want to look it up.
What's that?
It's written on the back of one of your pictures there if you want to look it up, but,
Yeah, but I don't think it's those though.
oh, okay.
No, it's not those ones. Those are.
We were amused by the old style of cowboy hats.
Yeah, and that's 66. And I can remember the trophies and that,
So
and I think that's when
we're back where we
you're
were.
back where we started.
Okay, we'll try for some more here. I'm not very good on the computer, but yeah, here we go. This is 1967 now.
And there, like that's the old barn and that's a barn, and then you look over in the horse creek there now. And that was, I think that was Ralph Rose.
Are those the old racetrack buildings in there? Some of the old,
Well, the racetrack, it was, no, the
It's too far north.
racetrack went right around behind here. It wasn't there then.
what are those buildings, just
Oh, way back here,
rather than do your thumb here?
right here. Oh, yeah, that was up in,
Sorry.
see, that's in Horse Creek. Remember, that was Lenny Blow's place.
Oh, okay.
Down on the railroad tracks down there. And that was Ralph Rose over here.
Yeah. Huh.
Cause that's a hill right back in here. And old Newt Gilbert, like this is all hayfield back in here. They used to farm that on the other side of 22.
Just above the barn is the ag grounds too, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What? No, that ain't the barn on the ag ground, it wasn't even there.
No,
No, but
no,
it's
but
there
that's
now.
where it is now.
Oh, yeah,
Yeah.
And that's the boy steer riding,
This
this
guy
young fella.
This guy will be 70 years old now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, he got me.
That's a good picture.
That is a good picture. And there's all the bull riding, and here's the guys that are clowning, but. And that's the trailer court up there. But it gives you an idea what it was like back '66. And there it is, that is a good picture there. The barrel racing there.
It's beautiful.
That is an awesome picture. And they're doing the grand entry.
Have we covered these already? Yeah. No.
No, I'll tell you what, they're bulldogging there. And these are, go back, can you go back one?
Yeah.
See, this is, one of ours, because that's a chute that we had to begin with, a long time ago, I don't know what year, but it's still in the 60s.
This is 67.
Yeah, okay, yeah.
Okay, we have done these. So. We have got some here just as a comparison. See,
Okay, now, and there you are, you're looking to the west again, and, I mean, you can tell the difference, it's all metal and everything, it's groomed, everything's great, it's all together fenced, but look at the trees now, what they are now, and the creek is still there, that's one thing, but look how green it is back over the hills. And now, if you look at, well, now you look over, it's all the houses. And this is, what year is this, Keith, 2013?
yeah.
Yeah, and you see, there's no houses at all back over there. Now it's just houses. So it makes a nice picture there. It's a nice,
So the question is, Ted, if there's all trees here now along the creek, why weren't they there in 66?
oh, they were just small, they were just little trees.
Oh, okay.
Do you remember old Jack though? He used to live down there.
Jacqueline Bell? Yeah.
There were quite a few trees behind his place.
Yeah.
The little shack he was in, wasn't it?
Yeah, old Jacqueline Bell.
Right by the creek.
Yeah, he had a little shack down right below the rodeo grounds where the west gate is.
All right.
And he was an old logger from way back. He was a cook, is what he was. And he was a cook for old Al Scott up there at the sawmill there. And then he came down, and then old Sid Hall, he had that little shack. And he would carve. He did a lot of wood carving.
Yeah.
And he made a Colt, a pistol. It was about this long for me, and, you know, like a regular Colt pistol, but it's all wood, but it was amazing. I'll tell you, he could do a lot of work, he did a lot of everything.
We called him Santa Claus because he had a
Yeah,
great
he had a beard, a white beard, and right down to there. Yeah, it was amazing.
Yeah, I think we've covered these.
Yeah, times have changed a bit.
Oops. So, have we got time, Gord, to look at some of the,
Let's do the centennial bridge, do you mind doing that?
Yeah, I don't mind. We go to what, 66?
67's the
Oh,
centennial.
yeah, 67, okay. Well, there's the old train station, the house,
That's the
the old
section house.
section house,
Yeah.
yeah. That's where air trucks lived there. Well, after, it was when they
All sorts
first,
of
yeah.
So is,
And then, look at, I mean, we have
Is this
parade
like
of
Main
Navy,
Street?
cadets.
be Main Street?
There's the old station in behind.
Yeah, there's the old the station there. And that is Don Smith and Tim Nolan.
For gosh sake.
And that's Don Smith and Tim Nolan. And there's the old elevator. And there's the Lions float.
Oh.
And that is Johnny Milligan.
Oh, yeah.
And that's Norman Kells.
Oh.
That's Ken Raby. That's Dave Longbotham. And I don't know who this is. And that's the swim club or whatever the, and see, we still had the stockyards here, and see the cattle cars, the double deckers, that they used to load them out of there, and there's the old Whittles, coal shed, and there's, Ed Raby's, Esso station, or boat station.
So when the bird, wasn't it? I remember it being that rainy that year.
What's that?
I don't remember that much rain at the time.
Yeah, and then add color to your life. Cochrane Art Club, that's been going for years too.
Yeah.
The Border community, that's all their trophies they've had throughout the years.
That's what we need for our display, that's what we need.
That is awesome.
That's
Yes.
a Sunday club.
And there's a,
Neat.
I don't know who that is, but that's kind of his 100th birthday, yeah. I'm not sure who that is, Anchor, Zero Anchor, I think that's Dave Scott. I believe that's Dave Scott. And I'm not sure who that is, but we had bands, everything then. And this here is my old dad.
Oh, great.
This is my dad here, and that's Clarence and Irene Cobethorn, that's our MLA. And that's my dad driving the old 1914 490 Chev.
Did he restore that?
Yes, he did.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I'll tell you, it was neat. It was really a neat vehicle.
Where is it now?
He sold it to a fellow out of Bragg Creek, McLaren. And McLaren, a guy by the name of McLaren, and he bought pretty near every one of Father's old T's, A's, 490 Chev, everything. Real, all the old antique vehicles, the old ones, they sold them all. And that's the old train station there.
It's a beautiful
And
horse.
I can remember that when waving my little flag when the Queen came in 1953. And that's the end of that.
That's the end of that.
And that 67 one, or that,
You want to look at some
well,
more?
the 66, the Labor Day parade, well, it was a parade, I went to that, and that's, the year I met the wife, well, I met her before, but we went out, took her from the hotel to the dance at Cochrane, and we got married next March, 67. So here's this, Bert's boy,
Larry?
and that's their old car, and that is looking over, there's,
That's Hall's house.
Hall's house, this is, that's the Jardine, that one up there,
Oh,
there
you
on
live up in that area?
Yep. That was up there in between, behind Andrew Sibbledown. And
Oh,
at,
Is that Hogarth's house on the corner there?
Hogarth's house is, that's up on the other side, but this is, right next to the Jardines there.
All right, so it's not in your end.
So down the east end?
It's on the east side, up on that Powell Street.
Oh,
And already, like, this is on the other side, that's McKay's over there, and this is, and that's one of the ones on the back side.
That's Raby's house in the back.
Yeah, this is Raby's there,
okay.
and that's,
So that's right behind the Stibble.
this, I think this is Wable's.
Yeah, that's right behind.
And then right there, that's the old brick house, that's the old McNamee
First
place
house.
there.
Uh-huh.
And then Bow Ridge, that's,
Those-
I'm not sure who that is, but.
So that's
I
like
recognize
down
these
the
people,
bay or
but,
something.
and that's Olga. Olga Flundra.
Oh, for
Yes,
us.
I do.
Selling meat.
Yeah, Olga, she used to do all the Avon,
Yeah.
Oh, yes, yes.
and then the Mounties again, and the parade. But they had a big parade back in those days too.
Uh-huh.
It was really good.
That's when they used to form up, wasn't it, in that,
Yeah, right there in that,
yeah,
there's
behind the
nothing.
school there, and, yeah.
Who in the world's that?
You're trying to-
I have no idea.
Girl guys.
So that-
And that's a Girl Guide, and I have no idea.
And
Oh,
whereabouts?
Oh, is
And,
it?
Joanne
That's her
Craig, is it?
queen, Joanne Craig,
yeah.
On the left,
I think so, yeah.
looks like it.
She was a queen or something like that, or that,
Very clean, and,
whatever.
And
it
was
is.
a dairy princess, wasn't she?
Yeah.
She was a centennial queen, I think.
Yeah,
oh, maybe.
that's right. And that's a Rebecca's.
Just very, like that.
And there, we had the pony chuck wagons.
Gosh.
Oh,
And we had the track and it went right around in the arena now where the big gates are on the north end. Well, we used to open up and then you just went around.
Was that
There's a
Giles?
regular racetrack, it was a regular racetrack.
Was that Giles that had it? Merv?
Say what?
Was it
Merv
Merv
Giles?
Giles that had the horse?
Oh, no, this is all Floyd, old like Griffin and
Oh,
all,
okay.
these,
Oh,
no, these are real pony chucks. These are not them little miniatures, these are big ones.
Yeah, okay.
I'm not sure who that is.
Who's the sheriff?
He's a sheriff anyways. But that just shows you some of the stuff that there is, you know that.
Yeah. Got time for more, or?
Yeah.
We've kind of gone off the rodeo a bit, but,
No, I think those are
Well,
really
but there's
interesting too.
horses in them all.
oops.
And the other church there, and then, see, there's nothing on that side. That's when the town was really nice.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
See, that is,
So then-
that's Stu McKay, and that is, it's there, but I just can't.
Yeah.
And there's Clarence and Irene.
The old curling rink.
Yeah, and there's,
That's Bonnie Thompson.
what's that, Bonnie Thompson,
Bonnie
yeah.
Thompson when she was princess.
Piranhas.
Yeah.
Is it?
They've been around a long time.
Yeah.
Don't recognize any of the kids. Food mess.
Oh, probably dress.
Food Master, that's
Oh,
Fred
yeah.
Keller's.
Yeah.
Kelly, do something.
Huh.
Curling rink.
But you know, everybody got dressed up, kids and all, there.
Yeah. Like decorations.
The old curling rink, many a good times had there.
Yeah, that was before the addition was put on.
Yeah, that's right, yeah.
Brought it out about 10 feet.
That's the one you go there and you had to go upstairs.
Yeah. It was upstairs then too, I think.
Yeah, that's where the party room was.
Yeah, that's right. Wild.
That's Dave Scott.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Looks like
They did?
Those river.
69.
Yeah, pretty cool.
The lioness, is it?
Maybe.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, that's when they,
So we came in, isn't it?
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. So that gives you something to look, I mean, something that's, if there's any questions or just. That's Owen Phillips there. That's Owen Phillips
Oh, it's on.
and
It's quite the hat, eh?
Yeah. That's Vicky's dad. Vicky Deaton's
Oh,
dad.
yeah,
Yeah.
oh, is that?
Oh, it is. Oh, it is. What's his name?
Owen,
Owen Phillips.
Owen Phillips.
Oh,
Judas.
for heaven's sakes.
Pardon me?
Judas,
Oh.
Judas Priest.
See, by then we've built the beer gardens and storage shacks up
Oh,
there.
yeah. Yeah.
That was that's the concessionaire and then
Yes, yeah. Back.
CFA, is that CFA what?
CFAC.
Yeah.
And that's a radio station, yeah.
Good old radio station.
Oh, and here's one of the wild pig races. These are-
No.
And that's one of the Stampeder Football Club. I remember that now.
Oh, yeah.
And then there they go after the greased pigs.
Oh, yeah, oh, my.
Not too long, well, back quite a few years ago, but we had the chicken.
Rooster
chicken-
races.
Chicken races? Well, Bob Williamson, he was not mad there, but anyway, the grandkids, well, here they all come, and they all got these chickens. And Bob said, well, I don't want them. Well, they put them in the sleeper of the, I think, trailer, you know, in the front end, tack room. And Bob said, now I've got 3 chickens, and they're all laying too. So, it was pretty good. I remember these pig races, God, it was neat. Them greased pigs, oh, man. Look at all the kids, by golly, I'll tell you, they're probably in their 50s, 60s now.
Yeah, yeah.
That's before the curling rink was there too.
Oh, yeah, way before, yeah. Yeah. Yeah, see the racetrack where, see, they'd open these gates and it came all the way around, like it ran right through the arena.
Is that Sid Hall's place up by the telephone poles there?
That's right,
With the
yeah,
green roof?
that's Sid's,
Oh,
no, there's the tower, the shop tower.
He was along that road.
Sid's was, little, yeah, that would be Sid, but he had a lot more longer, like, he had a barn that was kind of down, that's right.
Well, he was a butcher, was he not? Didn't you have an
Yeah.
abattoir as well?
Yeah, yeah. And there's a chariot
Oh,
race.
sure, yeah.
They were fun.
Forgotten about all
I'll
this.
tell you.
Yeah.
Pony chariot races, and I'll tell you, it was wild. Oh, I know what that was. That was a horse pull. That was it was a horse pull. And I remember I damn near got my fingers tore off. I was helping them hook on, and them horses lunging in. Oh, boy, I'll tell you. And that's what that is. Yeah, they were horse pulls. But if you ever up in Beaver Lodge, up in that country up there, they have these pony chariot, but they use thoroughbreds, big ones, 3 horses across. I'll tell you, they go out of that track, and then I'll tell you, you don't know which way they're going. One's going this way, and the other one's going, they're all going all over. And finally, you're going wrong, you get him to turn around, he's going. And I'll tell you, woo, it's a wreck looking for a place to happen. It was exciting, but whoa. But they didn't seem to mind. Yeah.
So I think that
Well, that
ends
is,
that.
Well, thank you, guys.
well, I hope, I explained a little bit to you anyways, but.
That's great. great to see those old pictures, see how things have progressed
Actually,
over the years.
I forgot there's one rodeo story I forgot. Please give me 1 minute. I worked in the infield there for many years, and one rodeo, a horse was going to be turned out where the contestant hadn't shown up. But when you turn a horse out, you're supposed to yell heads up so anyone close by can get the hell out of the way. But this guy didn't yell heads up, and the horse came out and smacked me right here,
Good Lord.
and it went straight on my back and was knocked out for a few seconds. But in our club then we had two particular guys. One was a grave digger for the city of Calgary. The other was a funeral director in town. So when I woke up, there was the sun in my face. There was a grave digger here and a funeral director here, and I thought, that's it, I'm gone.
Oh, it was priceless.
Yeah. Rest is to you.
Right?
Mr. Westerson, I
Yes.
wonder if you could, just briefly, tell us about the history of the Westerson cabin.
Yeah.
Okay, it was built in 1927, built by Robert Butler, was the guy's name. He built it for Bob Hogarth. That's Harvey, old Harvey's dad. And he built it there, and he ran a business that was a service station. It was a little of everything.
So
And
where
he
was
ran-
So
this?
where was it? Yeah.
Okay, you know where the across from the Sorgid place is? That
It was by the A1 across from the
there,
A1.
yes, okay, yeah.
where the A1 used to be? Well, it was
Yes.
set right back in there. And then old Bob Hogarth sold it to Ed and Annie Raby. And then my dad bought it from Ed and Annie in 1942. I think it was for $500, I think it was. I think I still got the bill of sale. And they came here in 42, and he worked for Graham Broach at the old Texaco. And then that's where Graham and Molly, they lived in the back of the whatchamacallit, and the kids, we were all grew up together. And there were not too many people. We were the last one on there.
On the west side of town.
On the west side, and then there was Clausen's, and then there was you, the Bloods, and then you, and then Thompson's, and then Beatty's,
Phipps is across.
Phipps is across, and Broach's.
So like sort of where the 1A drive-in around?
The A1 drive-in, that, we used to own that,
Oh.
and my other folks did. And,
But that was the farthest west, sort of?
yeah, we went, like our property went right from like Eddie Rose there, or where you go up to the Classens, or up the hill of Cooley.
Yeah.
Mhm.
When ours started there, went all the way to the end down there, and it went down to the railroad tracks, like where the old 1A highway used to go. That was not even supposed to be a road. That was supposed to go down low, but they just cut through, and then the government used to rent it, so we made a deal with the government just to make the deal. They had their trailer on it, and we had the road, but when it come time to, you gotta have a right, and it was not a shake of hand anymore. But it was, that was the original part, like we had, there was the porch like you see on the front, but we had a kitchen built on the back. When we moved in there, we built one, and the well was inside, there was a piece on it. And the best well there was in town. And they filled it in with good water. You couldn't even pump it dry. And anyways, it was, but the guy it went through a few people. But it was, there was no gas or nothing, it was coal and wood. And, I mean, we used to go to Ghost Dam to get firewood. We'd get on the driftwood, we'd go cut it. And we always got coal, we'd just go up to the Ozeta, up there in Morley, and where they called it out of the barrier dam there, up there in the hill, they hauled the coal down. And so that's where we got the coal, and you used to, did what you could. And there was only, what, 350 people in this town, Gordon, at one time? Wooden sidewalks, 8 streetlights in the whole town.
All the land where the highway goes through now, from A1, where it used to be, to 4th Avenue, that was almost all open lot, except for our old house that under the hills. And
Yeah.
then almost Main Street, there were a couple of houses,
That's
Beatty's
it.
house.
There's an old Chester's
Your
and
sisters.
your granddad's.
Yeah. That was a huge big empty lot that we used to play
But that, your, Chuckle, your granddad's house, he didn't own that, he always rented out old Sid Chester. Yeah, he owned old John, and your mom, or grandma, Nancy. Well, they never did own that place, he always rented off of Sid Chester. And Sid Chester, well, you know, he was behind Baptist Garage. And he owned that house and then a couple more, and it was, God, there's, in the Milligan house, they tore it down, huge, big house, wasn't it?
It was a Simpson house,
Three-story.
wasn't too bad, but
And they tore a lot of houses down that should have never been torn down. That's where the Texas, or the, not the Texas gate, but Ducks in the Roof is.
Oh, there,
And then,
yeah.
and then there, like, there was Marshall and Nellie Baptiste, then Milligan's, and then there's,
well, that was also Chester's.
Chester's, they had
Big
two
house that
places,
was
yeah.
on the lake.
And then that Doc Brody's, or Mrs. Brody, they had where the
The eye, optometrist
lawyer
is
place,
now.
yeah, optometrist or whatever. So the country's changed a lot, the place, everything's gone. And they talk about history, well, they tore down a lot of that history. And they've taken a lot of it, they took and tore it down, and which is too bad, you know?
Well, we know, we had a little book that you might have seen under the big hill, which had
Mhm.
50 places in it with the description.
Yeah.
I think we've whittled it down to about half now. that
Oh,
still
yeah,
exists.
exactly.
Yeah.
And
These
it,
are,
you know, I got that, I got to reading about, when we talked that night about the cooks up in.
Oh, yeah.
Reading about Ted Cook, well, out of the ranch where Jones, out of the ranch, well, they had that land out there too, a piece. And they worked up there, and they had that place, they sold that, bought a place here, and then moved up to Horse Creek. And it's quite a story, you know, you get reading all these old people, these folks that were around. And there's not too many of them left, that's the trouble. We're the next ones,
That's right.
next generation.